I want to share with you the only law of success for LLCs you need to know this year to actually succeed in your LLC company. Okay, so here are the laws of success I want you to pay attention. So the very first law of success for LLC is to actually choose your business name. It's not about the states where you're at because every state has the same standard, let's say, rule. You have to choose your business name, and the thing about choosing your business name is not it's not just about the industry you're in or about the service that you are actually providing or the product you want to sell. You have to be distinguishable from competitors. Okay, if your name is too sort of similar to competitors, that's going to really cost you big time in terms of revenue. You do not want to have that. So you want to be distinguishable from competitors. You want to include a business type designator whenever possible. Okay. You want to avoid restricted terms. So when choosing your business name, the whole idea here is to stay out of trouble, out of legal trouble, out of regulatory trouble. Okay. So you want to avoid restricted terms. What are the restricted terms? Well, you have bank or insurance, for instance. Okay, so anything that is or healthcare. I mean, sometimes in some industries you have to be very, very careful. So avoid those restricted terms, and you also want to respect existing trademarks. So this is an important law of success when it comes to having your LLC. So if you choose the business name for your LLC, make sure that you do not actually violate anybody's intellectual property. That's the first law of success for LLCs. The next one is you want to designate a registered agent. So if your LLC is going to be very successful vis-a-vis, let's say, the authorities, you got to have a registered agent. And I don't care if you form your LLC in Alaska or New York or Georgia or Hawaii, whatever. Every state in this country wants you to have a registered agent so that that person or that company can receive legal documents such as lawsuits and subpoenas on behalf of your LLC and then deliver them promptly to the appropriate person within your business. So the authorities want you to make sure you have someone who can do that. Now, you can do it yourself, but don't do it yourself because it's a lot of work, and also you want to protect your own privacy. So just outsource that task to a third party. If you have an LLC this year, besides choosing a business name and designating a registered agent, I want you to really think about your LLC's management structure. So, this is the third law of success for LLCs. You got to think about what kind of management structure you want to have. And when it comes to LLCs, you actually have two primary management structures. You have member managed LLCs and you have manager managed LLCs. So, big question is which one is really good for you? Which one is appropriate for your specific industry and your specific business model? So, with a member managed LLC, all members actively participate in the business's day-to-day operations, okay, and decisions. So that's kind of cool. And so with a manager managed LLC, owners choose one or more people to operate as managers, and they handle day-to-day decision making. By the way, when I speak about owners, it's actually the same thing as members. So if you think about LLC members, it's the same thing as LLC owners. So that's important. So if you have to determine if you have to choose your management structure, think about member managed LLCs or manager managed LLCs. Next, you want to think about having an operating agreement. You want to prepare an LLC operating agreement. So a written operating agreement is actually one of the most important documents for any LLC, and every state in this country, every of the 50 states want you to have an operating agreement. So in the agreement, you and any partners that you may have will outline your LLC's operational and financial guidelines, details about the business structure, the ownership interest, and how profits will be divided. That's really important to actually avoid issues down the road, okay? Because you want to avoid, let's say, potential conflicts among members. You just never know. Things happen. People can be crazy sometimes, especially when money is involved, right? So you want to avoid potential conflicts among members. Also, the agreement will provide an additional layer of personal liability protection. An agreement also ensures that your LLC operates smoothly. That's what you want. You want to have a smooth operation And finally, you are able to safeguard personal assets through the operating agreement. Another law of success for LLC is actually it has to do with articles of organization. So you need to file your articles of organization so that you can be really let's say you can be in compliance with regulatory standards. Okay, so after you pin down your name, registered agent, and thorough operating agreement, you want to really think about paperwork. Okay, specifically, what happens here is that you want to file your LLC formation paperwork. Sometimes you hear the terms articles of organization, articles of incorporation, certificate of information, statement of information. All those things mean the same thing. They refer to your articles of our organization. Okay, so regardless of what they are called in your states, an LLC's articles of organization contain information such as the LLC name, the address of the LLC, a main place of business, the duration and purpose of the LLC, whether the LLC is managed by its members or a manager. Remember, I told you about the member managed or manager managed. Also, you have to really sort of specify the LLC's registered agent, the address of the agent's registered office, and the signature of one or more of the LLC's organizers. So the authorities want to have as much info about your LLC as possible. Okay, so if something were to happen, they know whom to reach out to. They know how to really go through the process. So at this stage, though, many business owners opt for an online service in order to streamline the LLC formation process and ensure that all documents are correctly submitted. So you don't have to do it yourself, but if you have time and you're trying to really understand how the whole process works, you can do it yourself. Otherwise, just go to a company such as Zen Business, or like just go for an LLC formation service to take care of that for you. Okay. Now, some states process LLC articles of organization instantly, while others take a few days to. I mean, they can even take a few weeks. Some may even charge you an extra fee for expedited processing. So that's something to really keep in mind. And one thing I want to say here also is that after your LLC paperwork is approved, you will receive a certificate of formation from the state confirming that your limited liability company officially exists. And so at this point, you can congratulate yourself as a new business owner, announce the formation of your LLC, and move on to the next crucial steps of running a business. Another law of success for LLCs has to do with EIN and business checking. Okay, so once your LLC is official, you can apply for an EIN from the IRS. So EIN stands for Employer Identification Number. So the IRS is going to make the whole process a lot easier for you if you apply it online. You can actually get an EIN right away, like within 15 minutes when you apply, and they'll send you an official letter in the mail, like a letter on via USPS. But if you want to really do things manually, you have to really fill a form called a SS4, and that form, once you send it to the IRS, they'll probably take up to 6 weeks to actually process your EIN. But the EIN is like your company's, your LLC's social security number. Okay, so this is a 9-digit number that identifies your business for federal tax purposes, similar to an individual SSN. So that's kind of important. And so while single member LLCs without employees can technically use the member's social security number in place of an EIN, many financial institutions ask for an EIN when opening a business bank account. So you want to really have an EIN even if you are a single member LLC. Okay. And additionally, and that's an important thing, using an EIN in place of your social security number can help protect your private information. So it may be a better even within single member setups. So basically, what I want to say here is that for any LLC with more than one member or any employees whatsoever, an EIN is required by federal law for hiring employees, filing taxes, and even applying for business licenses. So even state tax authorities want you to have an EIN. So you can get actually an EIN real fast, okay, from the IRS website. Another law of success when it comes to LLCs has to do with licenses and permits. You want to obtain business licenses and permits. So depending on the type of business you have and where it's located, you may need one or more licenses or permits to operate legally. Okay, so you have some industries that are heavily regulated. For instance, healthcare. For instance, hospitality. For instance, insurance. Okay, but depending on the industry you're in, you might need for instance, a seller's permit, general business licenses, industry specific licenses, registration in other states. So if your LLC does business in more than one state, then it has to get that. And finally, DBAs. So you will need a DBA if you are doing business under a name other than your legal name. So that's important. So those are the seven laws of success for LLCs. Let me really give you top hacks here. So what should you do after you create your LLC? Number one, you want to get LLC specific tax advice. Don't go to a CPA or an EA that has a general business experience only. You want to go for someone who has experience dealing with LLCs. Okay, so tax law is complicated and it doesn't get any simpler when you start an LLC. So often, properly handling business taxes is one of the biggest challenges a new LLC will face, and improperly handling them can lead to issues such as penalties and interest, unclaimed deductibles, and legal costs also. Okay, and so if you have an LLC by default is treated as a partnership by the IRS. So you do not pay taxes at the company level. You pay taxes actually at the individual level. So an LLC is a pass-through entity, but an LLC has to file taxes. An LLC has to file form Form 1065 every single year so the IRS can see how much the company is generating. So when you incorrectly file taxes for your LLC, you run the risk of significant penalties and interest charges from the IRS. And when I speak about legal costs, in the most severe cases, incorrect taxes may lead to a business audit or investigation by the IRS, which in turn may actually require hiring legal and accounting professionals. So that's important. And one thing I want to say here is that from a tax standpoint, LLCs are unique because the IRS does not have a specific LLC tax classification. So by default, the IRS classifies one member LLCs as sole proprietorship or disregarded entities, whereas multi-member LLCs are classified as partnerships. That's what I said a little earlier. Okay, so now you can also choose to, as an LLC, you can choose to ignore the default classification and instead file as either an S corporation or C corporation with each having its own benefits. So that's important to think about it that way. Next, you want to maintain actually compliance and good standing. So once you have the LLC formed, you want to maintain compliance and good standing. That's really important because if you are going to let's say apply for a business loan or apply for a business credit card, some of those lenders they'll ask you to provide proof that you are in good standing. So once your newly created LLC is up and running, the last thing you need is legal trouble due to, let's say, non-compliance or overlooked regulations. So in order to remain in good standing with state and federal guidelines, you want to make sure that you file annual reports for your LLC. Okay, you have to do this big time. File annual reports, pay any fees associated with your LLC. So whatever you have to do, just make sure that you are actually fine on that front. You want to stay informed about about your state's LLC requirements. That way, you have a clear idea about what works, what doesn't work, and you want to pay any franchise taxes that may apply to LLC owners. Okay, so that's important to really to keep that in mind. And by maintaining compliance and good standing, you actually do a lot of good things. For example, you are able to protect your personal assets. That's really key. You want to ensure the legal operation of your business, okay? And you want to reinforce your credibility with clients, customers, and partners. So that's kind of cool from a flexibility point of view, but also it helps you big time in terms of understanding what works for your business. Now, when it comes to expansion, so expansion to another state, you want to make sure that you are in good hands because to file your LLC in another state, you want to get a certificate of good standing. You want to apply for foreign qualification. You want to appoint another registered agent. You want to check local news because this is important. You also want to really verify that you are in compliance with local laws. Okay, and finally, you want to prepare annual fees and also annual reports so that you have a clear idea about what works. So let me finish by giving you some LLC types here. Okay, when you think about LLCs, you have a lot of types of LLCs, but you have to choose the right fit for your business. So depending on your specific needs and circumstances, certain types of LLCs may offer greater benefits than others. So you have domestic LLCs, foreign LLCs, professional LLCs, restricted LLCs, anonymous LLCs, series LLCs, low profit LLCs, nonprofit LLCs. So that's something to really think about. When you think about domestic LLCs, that's an LLC that operates within the states in which it was initially created. Foreign LLCs, that's the opposite. So basically, the LLC is not working in the states where it was originally created. You have a professional LLC. So this is actually a relatively niche type of LLC. So basically, this is an LLC that is designed with certain professionals in mind, like architects or lawyers or accountants. You also have a series of LLCs that are great for real estate. Okay, that's important. You also have nonprofit LLCs. So when you think about the pros and cons of starting an LLC, the pros, you have limited liability protection, tax flexibility, management options, and simplicity, really. Okay. On the flip side, you may have difficulties transferring ownership. You have a limited life for the LLC, self employment taxes, and you have state specific laws. In terms of extra for LLCs this year, you have to understand that you want to really separate your company affairs from your business affairs. So you want to have a business checking account, okay, whenever possible. And you are actually, in terms of cost, expect to pay somewhere from $800 to $1,000, okay. And this is kind of cool because it allows you to do a lot of the stuff yourself. And one thing I want to say here is that you are able to start this year and really benefit from a lot of flexibility. And so having also a professional registered agent is really helpful because it gives you greater flexibility because you don't need to worry about missing time sensitive notices. You have protection of your privacy because the address of the third party, okay, is used in public records instead of your own. You have access to expert advice and guidance on legal matters. That's something to really think about. And finally, you have assistance with compliance and ensuring that you meet all necessary requirements. In conclusion to this conversation, I gave you the law of success for LLCs, and I started with the law of success and the top hacks, the LLC types, and the extras. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.